We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is a special edition of the Couples Academy Show because I have my Foundry gangsters in the house, and we're going to be getting into a deep topic. I've seen a lot of you talking about how to get over this post-infidelity stuff, and I've seen it from both sides. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. Today's topic is eliminating suffering post-infidelity. So what I want you to do real quick is I want you to like, share, and subscribe. And I want you to remember to go back and get this video because we're going to be dropping a lesson in here that I don't give too often. It's usually for my involved students that I've been teaching it to, but I realize that there's a need because of what I've been seeing on this show. But without further ado, I'm Jeff Witt.
I'm Roland Bradley.
And I'm Gonzalez Smith.
And we're about to get this thing popping. So go on and start putting your comments in. We might have some time for some questions on this topic, so go on and put those in as well. We're going to go to a quick commercial break just to let you know about Last Chance Weekend that's coming up right now. It's getting ready to come up here. And then we also got one in December and the Foundry Experience. So without further ado, let's take it to the commercials.
When 45 men from all walks of life come together in one place for one purpose, there is a collective harmony that produces an amplification of power that leaves an impact on the lives of men that cannot be erased. A fraternity of legendary men, all at the tipping point, on the precipice of greatness, meeting for one weekend to turn their worlds inside out. For the first time ever, the Foundry Experience. Not an event, not a seminar or retreat, but an opportunity to come face to face with the man you were always destined to be. If you want a life that's better than the one that you are living, meet us January 2023 for the Foundry Experience.
All right, and we're back. So here's the deal. We're going to get into eliminating suffering post-infidelity, but before I do that, I want to just acknowledge some of the people that showed up this morning. I see you, Vashawn from Chicago. Good to see you again. Ben, I'm seeing, man, I'm telling you, that book is a great book. Shalise from New Jersey. We have Treetop Palmer. We have Daryl Gardner. What's going on, brother? It's good to see you. Amanda Carroll. Obviously, Gonzalez, he's here with us now. LaShawn Cook from Ohio. We've got Miss Jules Smith, of course, the lovely queen of Gonzalez Smith, who's with us today, and Kenny Burkett and Callie Power Couple and Lisa Corbin. Thank you guys for coming. Remember to like, share, subscribe. We're going to get into a lesson, so I'm going to take over the first 10 minutes if these guys don't mind. And what we're going to do is get into something that I think all of you have been dealing with. How do you eliminate the suffering post-infidelity, right? Like, I can't help it. I've seen my husband is doing the work, and I just can't forgive him after 3 years. You know, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still worried about it. I still have the fear, worry, and doubt that's going on. I'm not certain about the relationship. I see sometimes the husbands who've done or sometimes even the wives who've done the infidelity, the betrayer, right? They're going through suffering because they don't know how to reapproach and reconnect and create that love that was lost, that they've been trying to find in other human beings and situations and circumstances. And this is a real problem that people are dealing with. Finding this way to eliminate the suffering. So to understand what this is all about, we have to realize that suffering is when you have a continuation of some kind of hurtful situation. If you have a painful situation, you bump your knee, you know it's going to be over with. And typically, unless you've done some kind of major injury, you give it a little time and all things heal. But in infidelity, sometimes we're dealing with deep-seated wounds that cause memories to come that create this pain that keeps reoccurring over and over and over. It becomes chronic. So what do we do about it? How do we eliminate it? Well, first we have to understand, what is the source of suffering? What is the source of suffering? Where does this suffering come from? And why can't I just get over it? Some of us have chosen to be in that suffering, and all of us actually choose to suffer because suffering is a choice, right? Pain is real. Suffering is a decision. Now, a lot of times we don't know about the mechanisms in our mind that cause this suffering to reoccur. And we don't even realize that we're using this suffering as a safety blanket, because I know what this feels like. And if I hold on to this feeling, at least I have some kind of control and know what to expect. Because if I give my heart again, if I commit again, if I choose to love again and let my guard down, that will feel much worse, because D-Day felt worse than me just being angry. And anger at least gives me some kind of power and control. Well, I want you to know that that is dangerous and toxic and can be removed. But we have to know where the source came from. Where does suffering come from? It comes from desire. What? Suffering comes from desire? It absolutely does. Now, without question, all 7+ 8+ billion people on the planet are desiring one thing. You know, regardless of political party, affiliation, race, creed, religion, the entire planet is looking for one thing. What is that one thing we are all looking for? And they're like, oh, Jeff just got himself into a trap now. But I guarantee you, without fail, all of us are looking for one thing. That one thing that we're looking for is happiness. Without question, we want happiness. We don't want happiness just right now. We want it in the morning when we wake up. We want it at night when we go to bed. We want it when we travel to some other place, when we're at work, when we're at home. We're all searching for this one thing, happiness. You would think that if 8 billion people were looking for one item and they knew it existed because they'd experienced a taste of it, that 8 billion people looking for one thing would be able to find this one thing pretty easily. But what if we're looking in the wrong place? So let's talk about desire and how it causes us to search for something in the wrong place. When you desire something and that desire is fulfilled, it leads to greed. Wait, no, desire leads to greed? Yes, it does. So if I desire ice cream and I get this ice cream and I eat it, I'll be satisfied for a minute. But 3 or 4 days later, that perfect bucket of ice cream is going to be calling me. A week later, a month later, it's going to be calling me. And I start forming a habit to want more and more and more. And then I add weight, right? that pizza, that cheesesteak. When I desire a job, maybe I'm at $20 an hour. Now I'm desiring $40 an hour because $20 is not enough. I get the job. I get excited. 4 months later, 6 months later, it feels okay. A year later, I want more. I get a brand new car. Brand new car, right? I've always wanted this car. It's exactly what I wanted. 6 months later, it's just a car. I want a new television. I've got a 40-inch. Then I get a 55-inch. Then the 55-inch isn't good enough. I want an 80-inch. See how this is leading to greed? I want a powerful, passionate relationship with my spouse. And then I get it. And then what happens? Becoming a mom, a dad, and all these responsibilities come in. And now, I don't even know. Where's the passion? How do I even recreate it? I want more. And then we make bad decisions, and sometimes we step out of our marriages. Sometimes we go into alcohol or drugs or seeking emotional affairs, these kinds of things to create this more, this greed, right? Now, let's look at what happens when desire is unfulfilled, when you don't get what you want. I remember there was this ice cream that I used to love, the Starbucks ice cream that I used to love when I was in the Army in North Carolina, when I used to work out a lot. And then I saw this ice cream when I moved to New Jersey years after. They brought it back as a special edition, and I brought it home. And I knew it was early in the morning. I was at the grocery store buying stuff for the wife. I put it in the freezer, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get through this day, and I'm going to enjoy this ice cream. My desire and expectation is towards eating this ice cream. I get through my day, and I go to the freezer, and the ice cream's missing. Oh, I'm mad. Honey, what did you do with the ice cream? Did you put it in the other? Why would you put it in the garage refrigerator? I go in the garage refrigerator. It's not there. Okay. Why is my ice cream not here? Oh, honey, you said you stopped eating ice cream. I gave it to the kids. Grr. Anger. So the desire is unfulfilled, and I'm starting to feel angry about it because I wanted this. I expected this. This is what I've been waiting for. All of my energy and attention has been going here, and I'm not getting what I want. So desire, when we receive it, creates greed, and desire, when it's unfulfilled, creates anger. So each of you have a desire in your mind for this relationship. So what do I do? Like, desire is inevitable. I'm going to want something. Not all of us can run up to the hills and to a monastery and become a monk or a nun and get away from desire, which is what the East has offered us for years. But the Western society, I have work. I have to have ambition. I have to have motivation. I have to have drive. And I have to have desire in order to survive in this capitalist society. And I'm all for that. So how do I manage this? And where does this desire come from? Well, desire comes from attachment to an idea. So the idea was that this ice cream was going to fulfill me. And I became attached. Fulfilled, it makes me want more. Unfulfilled, I'm attached to this being the object that will provide some sort of what we're all looking for, happiness. We want happiness eternal and infinite. We want it all the time and everywhere at once. Well, okay. So if attachment is the cause, where does this attachment come from? The contemplation of the existence of happiness and I want you guys to pull out your pens. Your contemplation of happiness in objects, beings, meaning other people, situations, job situation, and circumstances, environments, maybe the family barbecue. My contemplation of these thoughts of where happiness will lie if I just get this job, if I just get this car, if my spouse would just do this, if I could just be in this type of environment, then I can be happy. But there's a problem with searching for this type of happiness outside in objects because we want infinite and eternal happiness. Are objects infinite and eternal? No. So I get that new car, it's going to break down. Are people infinite and eternal? Now, we know our soul is, but the human being themselves, are they constantly in this state of one attitude or another? Are they constantly able to perform? And even then, we all must die. So are they infinite and eternal?
Absolutely not.
Right? Is the job infinite and eternal? No. Are the circumstances, that party-like environment, is that infinite and eternal? And at some point, don't you want the people to go home, and wouldn't they pick up their own mess? Right? So the experience of that leads to some kind of problem. So let's take a couple objects in the world and take a look at why we're looking in the wrong places for happiness. There was a lady back in the day who was sitting in her living room crocheting, and something happened, and she lost her needle, and she goes outside, and she's looking outside for the needle. And so a couple of villagers come by, and they're like, hey, look, what's going on? I see you out here searching. We just want to help out. What are you looking for? She's like, I'm looking for my needle. So everyone goes around, and they're looking for this needle, and the needle's nowhere to be found. So they say, hey, can you tell me what happened? How did you lose your needle? So I was sitting in the living room. I was crocheting in my rocking chair, and a phone call came in, and I got up, and the needle fell away, and I took the phone call. And so they asked her, well, why are you looking for the needle outside? So they went into the house, and they looked over by the chair, and there was a needle tucked away into the seat cushion of the chair. A lot of us are looking for happiness in external things, objects, beings, situations, and circumstances. Let's see, can happiness be there? The nature of a thing must be that thing all the time. If it is truly, if it contains happiness as its source of value, then it'll be happiness all the time. So let's take a dessert. I'm just going to use ice cream since we use that today. Some of you are lactose intolerant. We're going to make it lactose intolerant for you guys. This one's not going to cause you stomach problems, and it tastes amazing. Whatever your favorite flavor is, let's just imagine together. All right? So I give you one bite of ice cream, this amazing ice cream, award-winning ice cream. You know it's the best flavor. You've tasted it before, and you get one bite. So good. 10 bites. Man, this is the best ice cream ever. 20 bites. Okay, this is good, but 100 bites. Whew, I've had enough. Right? At some point, that object that created happiness in you can be too much. Well, why is it that? I should be able to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning if ice cream contained happiness and be like, ice cream? No, you're going to get mad. Why are you waking me up for ice cream at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, if it at its essence, ice cream created happiness, then it would be happiness anytime that I gave it to you, everywhere that I gave it to you, on the 100th bite, on the 200th bite. So let's look at the nature of a thing. Sugar in its essence is what? Does anybody know? My guy's right here. What is sugar in its essence?
Sweet.
Sweet. Is it sweet all the time?
Absolutely.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At night?
Yeah.
Is its nature sweetness in China? Is it sweet in Jamaica? Is it sweet in America? So the nature of sugar is sweet. So if we're all looking for this happiness, we should be able to boil down happiness into something that its very nature is happiness. And if we're looking at all the objects of the world and can't find it outside of us, not in objects, not in people, not in situations and circumstances, then where does this happiness lie? By remainder. By the law of remainder, if I eliminate the objects of the world, right? Where's the only place happiness can remain? Does anybody know?
Within yourself.
Us. See, what you didn't realize is that your expectation of a thing being fulfilled created momentary happiness. But because you were attached to the idea that it was this person or this object or thing, but it's actually that you created an expectation in your very creation of a thing lies happiness. Now, so if I can't find it in objects and people, if it's desire problems, well, I need a desire. So where should I place my focus and attention so that I can receive infinite and eternal happiness? Where am I going to go? Well, I hear you talking about I got to work on the inside. What does this mean? Well, we know that this temporary happiness comes from the contemplation, but so does the suffering. And the reason why they're suffering is because none of that is infinite eternal. So maybe I need to contemplate on finding happiness somewhere else. Where do I contemplate this happiness? Let's move something from the external to the internal. Where's one place? Let's go to the lowest level, the lowest common denominator of where you could possibly get something that's infinite internal. What if we were to contemplate happiness in the acquisition of knowledge? If we contemplated at this low baseline level that's much higher than the external world, then when we learn something, because we're contemplating by learning that we will receive happiness, if we receive it and we get greedy, can we ever have too much? Oh. So your greed for knowledge would be a higher plane than your greed for objects, for people, for situations, and your circumstances. If it's unfulfilled, whose fault is it? My own, because I didn't spend time seeking knowledge in an information age where all I have to do is grab this device at a minimum to acquire that knowledge. Now that seems baseline, okay, but I'm not a reader. Okay, I said that's one place that you can go because that is infinite. You will never learn all the glories and wonders of this universe. There's not enough time here to do that. So you'll always have more. It's unlimited. But what if we were to raise our contemplation to one other higher level? What if we found contemplation in goodness? And when I say goodness, I'm talking about the care, love, concern, and respect for all of those around us, our children, our husbands, our wives, our work. And we put that care, love, and concern into a place that actually matters. And what if we contemplated that our happiness comes from bringing other people joy? Can you ever give too much of that? Can you become greedy in desiring happiness for others? In well-being, in caring and concern for others? No, it's infinite. It's unlimited. You have a whole planet to show care for. You don't have time to get to all of it. So it's unlimited and it's infinite. Is there any possibility that you wouldn't be able to deliver that to other people? No, there's a whole world of people in pain that you can give care, love, and concern to. Isn't that one of the reasons why we love animals? One of the reasons why we love animals is because typically if your dog's not a hellion, I have a very good dog. If your dog's not a hellion and causing chaos and catastrophe, you can give care, love, and concern. They don't say anything back. They just feed them, pet them, and they're the happiest things on the planet. Don't you wish you could do that with your spouse? Yeah, but they talk back, and so now these ideas, these contemplation of these other objects come into play. But giving that care, love, and concern without expecting anything in return is a place that we can contemplate happiness and find it every single time. What if we were to raise our expectations beyond that, one level higher? What if we put our contemplation on God and the fruits of the Spirit? If we put our contemplation and our expectation of happiness, finding happiness in those places, it is both unlimited and infinite, and there can never be too much greed in wanting to create that personal connection with your Creator, your spirituality, your sense of self, if you will, that soul which is connected to the Spirit, that Spirit which is connected to the Creator. If we contemplate our happiness in that, we'll find that we will win every time. But you know what? I constantly get distracted. Well, just knowing this, that my contemplation is the wrong place, can create an awareness that realigns you with where we should place our attention. So I'm going to get upset when the kids eat the ice cream. But if I can remember, why am I contemplating happiness in the ice cream? If I can remember, my spouse is a human being. They do things differently than I do. Why am I contemplating my happiness on them? Why don't these other external things, I'm not saying get rid of them. I'm saying allow them to complement the happiness you've already created, the joy that you've already created within you. So now you're the source of happiness, and you're generating that happiness with everyone around you. This is the only way to eliminate suffering. because no longer are you expecting things from the world that the world will not give you. Now that you're in complete control of your own happiness, now you can help and guide others to find theirs. And in that space, we can find reunion and reunification. The key to your marital restoration is your personal transformation. And so I wanted to give some context to that in a way. And so I see in the comments, I'm having a hard time healing, right? I see that, okay? Contemplate your happiness somewhere else, right here. Extend your knowledge to the furthest point in the things that interest you. Learn to give care, love, and concern to all those who cross your path when it's appropriate. I have to say that because of these situations. And also learn to contemplate your happiness in your creator. And when you get sidetracked, remember that your contemplation should be in those places, that everything else is fine. All of these material objects, people, situations, circumstances are all complementary to your well-being if you have found well-being as a basis to start with in these other things. All right, so with that, I'm going to go to a commercial here in a second, and we're going to come back and we're going to discuss. The guys, they're going to ask their questions, and a lot of you have made comments, and we're going to address those as well. All right, so without further ado, you got it, bro. Guys, we're back. Roland Gonzalez, what say you? I want to hear from you guys. What are you thinking on this right now? Because I know this is a difficult topic for people to hear, but
Go ahead, Gonzalez.
What if how can we help people that come on here asking the same question, either pointing the finger at the husband or the spouse, whatever it is, and say it's a female, and they don't go to unearth, and they're still struggling to identify the happiness within themselves or the marriage?
So once again, we're going to go right back to it. That happiness is found in if your contemplation is to find happiness in finite, right, things that are limited in their capacity to produce it all the time, their essence is not happiness. Then at the end of the day, we're going to be dissatisfied. So they have to find this, if they're not seeking new knowledge, seeking love, care, and concern for all around them and trying to be good human beings, goodness. If they're not seeking the face of God, then I promise you that you may find a modicum of happiness, but it'll be temporary and short-lived. It must be in these three things. I can't find anything else that would satisfy infinite and eternal happiness. And so what happens is there is the necessity for there to be work done on the relationship for communication, right? But who do you think is easier to communicate with? Someone who's knowledgeable, has goodness in their intention in everything that they do, even when things are tough. Someone who has a mind towards God, who has the concept as of trying to be godly or godlike. In that, I am saying, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we have that mind, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. If we have that forgiveness mindset, and then we focus on goodness and knowledge, that does not make us weak and fools. It doesn't mean we don't set boundaries and try to create new communication levels or get help to help the interpersonal dynamics. But what it does say is, I ain't going to let no one steal my joy. I'm going to create my joy, and I'm not going to let anyone else's bad behavior take that from me. Because the joy of the Lord is my strength, right? I can do these Bible verses all day, but the concept is very real and practical, not just this religious ideology. I am going to create and tap into this joy. When you were 5 years old, take a bunch of 3 and 5 year olds and turn them loose in a lawn on a sunny day. Do they have a problem finding joy?
No.
They don't. When you were a kid, you used to watch a little bug crawl across your hand. Maybe you were scared of bugs, but if you weren't scared of bugs, you would look at that ant and you would look at that thing with intensity, trying to discover oh, wow, look at this, and da-da-da. Mommy, look, oh, get that thing away from me, right? A caterpillar, a bug, a frog, a snake, a blade of grass, a flower. You would spend hours in contemplation and find joy in those things. But somewhere along the way, people started telling you no to everything you desired. Now, some of these no's were for our own good. No, don't touch the stove. That was for our own good. But what happens is parents go beyond the no's that protect and start doing the no's that reject. Mommy, what is this? Mommy, what does that mean? What is the meaning of life, Mommy? I don't know, kids. Stop asking me questions. No, 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 no. And you learn to live a life of being rejected, and that rejection becomes a box that creates fear. And then when something like infidelity happens, that is like a big super rejection that has trapped you in a box. Then now everything is no. And you decided you're going to put up your own no's. No, don't touch me. No, get away from me. No, I don't trust you. No, you've created the prison of your own making. You're writing your own horror story in your mind every day of things that may or may not be happening, but you don't know, and you're creating them as if they are reality in your mind. Now, if you are suffering something that you can't prove exists, what do we call that? Insanity.
Insanity.
So maybe we're all just living in socially acceptable levels of that insanity. How do we break that? The joy of the Lord is my strength. Contemplate on God. Contemplate on goodness and caring for others. Contemplate on seeking knowledge and advancing yourself. And then when you become all you can be, maybe that light that you shine will shed on the others around you. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. One thing I've known is that whether it's men in prison or men stuck in infidelity or men on drugs or men womenizing, is that when you become the best version of you and you stand in the circle of those men, they either run and flee or they're attracted like a moth to the flame. And so are we raising our own energies to the highest level so that everyone either runs like the demon that they are or attracts and becomes the best version of themselves because they feel convicted when they're around you? Does that answer your question, Gonzalez?
That it does.
What do you think, Roland?
So hey Jeff. So I'm wondering. So I've taken everything you said. I've done everything. I've done the work on me. I've changed my life. I've changed my attitude. I'm looking within for happiness. I've done all those things. As the betrayer, whether it be the husband or the wife, right? As the betrayer, how do I get my spouse to give her or him the reassurance that I'm a changed person, right? To give them that place of safety and security and certainty that I'm trying to build, right? Because I've done all these things. My heart has changed. My mindset has changed. My attitude has changed. I'm looking in the comments. They've done everything that they were supposed to do, but yet and still the reassurance is still not there for them to jump on board, as you said, to attract, right? So how do I reassure as the betrayer, husband or wife, to my spouse that I am a changed person?
Okay, so the first thing is we need to understand our problems within the four securities. In Foundry, we teach that there are four securities, that in these security systems that we have, if they are fulfilled in every single way, we are secure people. We are not insecure people. So if you know yourself and your connection to your creator in a way that keeps you from feeling bad about yourself 99% of the time, 80% of the time, then you're strong in spiritual security. If you know yourself at a level of emotional intelligence, that you are able to adjust your emotions to meet the circumstance on 8 out of 10 situations, that means that's emotional security. That's our ability to interact with others once we know ourselves. It literally only has to do with others. Emotional security within is spiritual security. So when we look at emotional security from without, it's learning how to adapt to the situations that as necessary to be the comfort, care, and concern that's necessary for especially our closest ones, and also in the workplace as well. Now, if we're walking in that light and then we're doing the best things for our physical, so we're at 8 out of 10 in the physical. We're doing the work. We're at least on the path, and we're consistent there. And then financially, we're also consistent. How can you be consistent in all four quadrants and then not see it? The truth of the matter is, a lot of times we think we're doing all that we can do. I've done everything is one of the posts. That is the most egocentric thing I've ever seen posted. I've done everything I can do. No, you've done everything that you know to do. And maybe your knowledge is limited. And so what you need to do is find someone who has what you want. They have to have done it and copy what they do. And that may be across all four quadrants. And as you raise yourself to be this excellent person and you live in consistency. See, we're not looking for our spouses to trust us again, because trust does not complete the certainty bridge. I first must form a belief. Have you asked your wife what she needs to believe about you in order for you to feel secure? If you haven't started with that belief, then you don't have it. You need to know what she needs to believe. Okay, now that I have this list, oh man, checklist, bang, 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 bang. Let me do these things one at a time. Now that I'm doing them consistency by me acting on them, that is faith. Because faith without is belief plus works. Faith without works is dead. So I'm doing the work. Now I need to do a little check, and nobody likes this, but Proverbs says a wise man loves reproof. So I got to go to honey. How am I doing? Am I doing? You said you need to believe these things, and I'm really trying to live up to it. I don't want to start an argument. I just want to know how I'm doing it. I'll take whatever you give me. She checks 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. You're on the right path. All right, you're doing better, but you got to keep going. All right. So now you do these things over and over and over again with a constant report card coming. And then you say, hey, babe, how am I doing? Trust naturally happens the moment that you complete a task over and over and over again. It just naturally happens. Right? And then what you're not trying to arrive at, trust. I just want you to trust me again. No, I want you to be certain. So I use this example. When you see a baby standing on the edge of the crib holding on, and they lift their legs up and down, up and down, up and down, that's belief that they can walk. When mommy pulls them out of the crib and is holding their little fingers, I've seen this across the world, and she begins to pull one finger and then the other finger, and the baby begins to step. That is faith. They're taking action on the belief that they can walk. Then mommy, one day after they think they're strong enough, she lets go and she backs up and says, "Come here, baby." And the baby runs across and usually falls, but right there, mommy catches it. That's trust. That's still not certainty. Now I'm going to ask all of you at home and these gentlemen right here, I want you to do me a favor, Roland. I want you to do me a favor, Gonzalez. Do me a favor and just stand up. Just stand up. I don't care if your computer moves. Just stand up. You at home too. Let's stand up. Turn around. Turn around. Okay, all the way around. Now sit back down.
Bam.
You over there going, why does Jeff make me stand up, turn around, do all this foolishness? Did you at any time question that your legs were going to support you?
No.
Question whether the floor was going to fall out from under you?
No.
That's what certainty feels like. See, we think certainty is some kind of exciting thing. I know. No, certainty is, it's just routine. I can do it. It's like, why are you asking me to do this? This is just simple. That's what you're looking for in your spouse. And have you asked yourself the question, have I delivered on certainty, or am I still asking her to trust me because I'm inconsistent? See, it needs to be like brushing your teeth in the morning, part of the routine. Brushing your teeth in the morning, if you want good breath and decent hygiene for your teeth, for your mouth, you are not going to think of it as a big deal to brush your teeth. You're just going to do it as part of your routine. And when you live a life of consistency, it is impossible, except for insecure people, not to trust you. Now, if you are secure in all four quadrants, you're going to look at your spouse's insecurities and not judge them, but support them in what they're missing. And that will fill the trust gap and make it a bridge to certainty. Does that answer your question, Roland?
It does. It does. And I believe it answers a lot of people's question because, again, you know, it goes beyond just doing the work for yourself, but actually believing or having the belief system, as you say, as a collective party and being able to work on something together to get past the hurt, to get past the pain, to get past the insecurities of the marriage. So, yes, it does.
All right. So I got a couple questions here that I want to answer specifically because I went to the Bible and sometimes I run into this. Is true happiness attainable for one who does not subscribe to a religious belief system? Yes. Spirituality can be debatable. Everything starts with spiritual. What about these folks that are not spiritual? Listen, I want you to understand what that fire back there means in Foundry, that flame. If I take your spirit out of you, what happens to your body? It turns cold.
Yeah.
You need to have a belief in a particular word or concept of a creator to do that. What I want you to understand is that there are things greater than you in this world. You don't believe me? I want you to look up in the sky and look at a sun. And if you see that sun, know that if that sun goes out, if the fire goes out in that sun, that your whole galaxy turns cold. So there's at least one thing in this galaxy that is greater than you. Now, we know at the center of all the galaxies within our system, at the center of all the solar systems within our galaxy, there is another thing that looks like a black hole. We don't know what that thing is, but we know that if that thing acts up, the whole galaxy falls apart. Right? And so these galaxies will fall apart because there's something greater than them. I don't need you to know what that is. I don't need you to describe what that is. All I need you to know is and acknowledge is that you are not the center of the universe. And if you understand that, then your spiritual connection is just in your relationship between that which is greater than you, which makes you ponder on higher things, right? Remove the religion from this. If you ponder greater things than you, then you will open yourself up to greater things as a possibility. Remove the religion. I don't care if you're Muslim, Hindu, agnostic. All agnostic means is I don't know. And an agnostic is better than an atheist. And the reason why I'm going to say that plainly for all the atheists out there is atheist is an acknowledgement that you know everything. Agnostic is at least I don't know. I don't know leaves an opportunity for something greater than you in this universe. And if you're an atheist, a true atheist, you're self-centered and egocentric, and your world will live that way. So if you're agnostic, I say yes. If you don't know, I say yes. You can achieve that greatness. And spirituality is just the understanding that there's something greater than you in this universe. And that at the core of that, there's a central concept called I. Some of you have identified I with the body, this physical being, right? So yeah, this is my body. If you poke me, I hurt. Well, what if I put anesthesia in you? If I knock your mind out, does the body hurt? Nope. So can you be the body? What about your mind? Well, let's talk about sight for a second, right? My eyes see. No, your eyes don't see. There's a mind in there that sees using your eyes as an object. Now, we say, I am sick, which is a condition of emotions. Of the body. And then we say, I am fat, which is a condition of the body. We say, I am sad. Are you one or are you many? Are you the chemical reactions in your body? Or is there this I that is beyond the condition? That I that is beyond the condition is the spirit. Simple and plain. That there's something beyond your mind, something beyond your emotions, and something beyond your body. That you are not, that you have the possession of tools, which is a body, a mind, right? And these emotions, and that you are that you have in your possession a perceiver through the five senses, sensory perception. You have a feeler, which is your emotions, your chemical balance. We're going to go scientific, right? And a thinker, which is your mind. But you are not your thoughts. Because if you were, those days you feel ugly, are you really truly ugly? Do you believe yourself to be ugly? Someone else is telling you're beautiful and you're sitting there believing you're ugly. Are you your thoughts? I am not my mind. I am not my body. I am not my emotions. There's something that lies beyond all of that. And when that thing leaves, which I'm just going to describe as spirit, this whole body goes to waste. The mind no longer exists. And this identity that we've collected no longer exists. So that's what we're going to call spirituality. We're not going to trap you into a religion. I'm just talking about the ones, because we live in a country that's 80% Christian, in a way that they will understand it through their teachings. But I could take you through this in Buddhism and Hinduism and any ism that you can think of that has been conditioned for the betterment of man on this planet. And even though it's been used for mal in a lot of things, it's not the essence of the thing. You will not find fault with one of Jesus's words in the Bible. What you will find fault with is the men who practiced it. I hope that answered your questions. All right. Anything else? I mean, I'm seeing some things here, but what do you guys think?
Well, you covered a whole spectrum of things, from every quadrant, every level. It comes down to having a heart and a mind and a willingness to want to change. That is going to be the ideal intentionality on the outcome of your happiness, period. You have to be willing, you have to be intentional, and you have to want change for your own life. So when you look within yourself, look at the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, and find within yourself what true happiness is for yourself, and you could give that to your spouse. You could have a happy marriage, a sustainable marriage, a long-lasting marriage, a marriage with some fire, and you can live life to its fullest.
That's right. Well, and I saw a comment in here that says, if I break my leg, it won't operate the same until I heal. That's true. It won't operate the same. But what is the healing process involved? Repairing the cells that were damaged, whether they're bones or flesh. It's repairing the cells. What is repairing the cells doing? Taking healthy cells and duplicating them and connecting them back to their original blueprint, which comes inside of here, right? that DNA blueprint that's given that tells it what it's supposed to look like at that particular time. Along with that, there takes physical therapy, which is the practice of using those limbs again. So healing process both involves connecting back to the source, the I, and then the practice of those things that comes from the I in reality, in our daily lives, in our outside world, so that we can actually heal and readjust back. So it's not just, it won't heal. Yeah, I have a damaged hip flexor right now. But I can't just wait for that hip flexor to heal because that particular muscle doesn't get a lot of blood flow. And so it stays tight. And so I'm going to, if I just let that thing heal its own way, I'm not going to be able to move in ways that I was able to move before because that thing doesn't get a lot of blood flow. And since natural movement doesn't give it to it, unnatural movement does. I have to go through the process of stretching. And stretching is not fun when it causes a little tinge of pain. But guess what? It must be done for it to go back to the way it was before or better. So I'm going to consider, I want you to consider this. Consider that you have to go through the natural healing process of reduplicating the cells that weren't there, been damaged, but you also have to go through the process of stretching and getting back into the routine of things so that it can return. And so your coldness and your bitterness and your anger that you hold towards your spouse because of unfulfilled desires will never lead to your happiness. You need to stretch that a little bit.
Stretching is very uncomfortable, but you got to do it properly.
And hopefully, I'm not saying practice yoga or anything, but maybe stretch a little more and see what you can do that's even better than before. What say you guys before we finish?
Listen, it's going to cause a little pain to get to the place of comfortability. And sometimes stretching, sometimes doing a little extra work. Pain is nothing but weakness leaving the body. And so we have to go through a little pain to become stronger, to become better. And it's going to cost a little bit, but if it doesn't cost anything, it may not be worth anything. So do the pain, go through the pain to get to the place where you want to be.
And then the other thing is you have to, like I said, you're not going to find happiness outside of you, not in your spouse. They can only complement your happiness. Your joy will be found as your joy will be found inside. They can serve to complement that. So when we're dealing with situations with unwilling partners, expand yourself to the highest point. Expand your love, care, and concern for the family members around you, including them. Right? Jesus didn't say love them when they're nice to you. Right? Love your enemies. You also have to extend your knowledge because there's some things that you just haven't learned yet. Frustration is the first indication that there's something more to learn. And if you can't acknowledge that, then you will live in frustration. That's your destination. Just go on and lower your expectations all the way down to your level of work that you're willing to put in to achieve what you want. Okay? And then for those who can, expand that into the spiritual realm as well. Create those things, and trust me, give me 90 days of that with consistency and see if your joy doesn't change.
Consistency is key.
All right. I guess we're going to lead out with that. We've got a lot of comments. People, I want you to like, share, subscribe. If you think this could help somebody, save this video. If you think you need to watch this again to really get it all, because I know I threw a lot at you, go to the channel. It'll be up today or tomorrow, and you can take this video with you and just save it, bookmark it, and come back to it. We are going to go to our last commercial break, and I'm going to say thank you guys for showing so much, and I hope that this was helpful and beneficial in some way. Sometimes I have a tendency to go overboard and throw too many topics at once. Like I said, you can go back to this video and break it down, and we can break down segments of this in the future if you so choose. I want to thank you, Gonzalez and Roland, for being my cohorts in this adventure today. And I look forward to seeing you all here real soon. Thank you and have a great day.
Yes, sir.
When 45 men from all walks of life come together in one place for one purpose, there is a collective harmony that produces an amplification of power that leaves an impact on the lives of men that cannot be erased. A fraternity of legendary men, all at the tipping point, on the precipice of greatness, meeting for one weekend to turn their worlds inside out. For the first time ever, the Foundry experience. Not an event, not a seminar or retreat, but an opportunity to come face to face with the man you were always destined to be. If you want a life that's better than the one that you are living, meet us January 2023 for the Foundry experience.